It's time for another review. What's up, motherfuckers? My name is Mike, and this is the Bored Cyborg. This is the first video in a series that I'm starting called Forgotten Genre Gems. These videos will give me the opportunity to unearth some diamonds in the rough in regard to genre, obscure, or exploitation cinema. Films that have been lost in the fray. Due to their visceral nature and wide appeal, genre films have always been innumerable, and I'm here to turn you on to some great films that have been forgotten or buried so deep that you need a cinematic spelunker like I to bring them to light. The first film on my agenda is a film called The Peacock King from 1988. Hair in Mouth. The film is directed by a criminally underrated Hong Kong exploitation director, Lam Gnai Kai, aka Lam Gnai Choi, aka Nam Nai Choi, aka Simon Nam. That was really hard for me to do. I'm assuming part of the reason that he's underrated is because no one knows what the f to call him, apparently. But it seems Lam Gnai Kai is what he's mostly referred to as here in the West, so moving forward, Lam Gnai Kai is what I'm going to call him. Lam Gnai Kai was a cinematographer by trade who eventually began directing his own films. Therefore, all of his films look great, and they each have a keen sense of creative and inventive angles that perfectly accompany his manic style of directing. Peacock King is based on a popular Japanese manga by Makoto Ogino called Spirit Warrior. This manga was released in 17 volumes and ran from 85 to 89. Now, the film is only 86 minutes long. So, think about that. The writers, all 5 of them, both Chinese and Japanese, crammed 17 volumes of a presumably insane manga into an assuredly insane 86-minute-long feature film. And I am eternally grateful. So, thank you. This is not the only adaptation of the manga that Gnai Kai has directed. 2 years later, in 1990, he'd direct Saga of the Phoenix, which is essentially a companion piece and makes one hell of a crazy double feature. It's clear Gnai Kai drew a lot of inspiration from Western horror and adventure films, specifically the work of Spielberg and Carpenter. All of his genre films include hallucinatory Chinese mysticism mixed with over-the-top martial arts and adventure. And if that doesn't get your wiener wiggling, I don't know what will. And they also include some of the most awesomely campy, creative, and inventive special effects that I've ever seen. Most importantly, his films are excessively fun, and really flip the wonder and mystery of ancient Chinese art and culture on its head. So, what is this film all about? What's the story? Holy fucking testicle sweat popsicles. This film is absolutely bonkers. If you thought watching Ricky O was like smoking crack laced with psilocybin, this film will make that trip feel like working in a cubicle. In no way does your knowledge of Ricky O prepare you for the madness that you are about to inject into a main vein. Giant monster arms, indescribably Lovecraftian stop-motion creatures, and the wildest of light shows that would cause the members of ELO to spontaneously combust. And the story? Ooh. It's a story. The story is so strange that I feel uncomfortable calling it a story. It needs a new word. Let's call it a storangy. Storangy. Yeah. Okay, let's not. But let's start at the beginning, shall we? An ethereal demon bitch called Witch Raga, who looks like a member of the rock band Loudness, coerces and manipulates an innocent young girl named Ashura into doing her bidding. Ashura is mostly, adorably, referred to as Hell Virgin. Really has a ring to it. Hey, Ma, meet my new girlfriend, Hell Virgin. Oh, honey, she's pretty. The satanic duo wreak havoc and lob giant flaming Hadoukens at an archaeological expedition of some sort. The oblivious human scum have unearthed an ancient satanic curse. A curse as old as time. As true as it can be. La-di-da-di-do, Beauty and the Beast. Witch Raga plans to locate and uncover 4 portals that all lead to the gates of motherfucking hell. This is no bueno, since once this is accomplished, the evil incarnate Hell King shall emerge from his fiery slumber and play with furry bunnies and eat sugar cookies with grandma. Oh, and then claim dominion over our dimension by conquering the world of the living. You with me so far? Only one thing stands in the way of this unholy trinity from hell. Well, 2 things. 2 monks, to be exact. One is Chinese and is played by the most acrobatic of the 7 little fortunes, Yin Bio. The workhorse Bio, who also co-directed the film with Gnai Kai, most likely handling the action, is one of the protagonists, the Chinese monk named Kong Kui, aka Peacock. He's stylish and impulsive and never hesitates to jump right into the action to save the day and get the girl. This is perfectly illustrated by his mesmerizing introduction, which may be one of my favorite sequences of shots ever. I watched this scene 7 times my first go-round. Why? That's why. The other monk is Japanese and is played by Hiroshi Mikami. His name is Lucky Fruit, the poor guy, and he's the more calm, collected, and restrained of the 2, but he's equally as powerful. This gives us an interesting dynamic between the 2 characters, and each of them play their respective roles well. In 2 separate countries and with 2 separate masters, they catch wind of the quandary that's threatening to send humanity to its fiery end, which, considering the time we live in, doesn't sound half bad. They're dispatched by their respective sifus, or masters, and be outie to Hong Kong. Luckily for us, these are 2 badass motherfucking monks that are destined to obliterate evil right in the fucking face. Woo! They ain't feeling this whole idea of this witch bitch and Papa Satan taking over the world, so they begin hunting down and exorcising the 4 portals to hell, as well as destroying any creature that emerges from them. At first, they go about their individual quests, but in short time, they join forces, drop some acid, throw their sets, and fuck demons up in tandem in some very well choreographed fight scenes, as well as some Jackie Chan-like stunt sequences. Then they talk Gordon fucking Liu into ditching worshipping Satan, and he joins the party. For a few seconds at least. And that's the gist. You know, just your standard age-old story of good versus evil. Sarcasm aside, that is what is so cool about Peacock King. It takes the classic story of good versus evil, induces it with Chinese mysticism, lucid creativity, and some of the most insane live-action imagery imaginable. Inimaginable. What ensues for 86 heavenly minutes is unadulterated chaos, and it is wonderful, folks. Another great thing is that the film truly feels like an amalgam of both cultures. It feels like a hopped-up wuxia film crossed with a wild horror fantasy anime. But the 2 styles fornicated and gave premature birth to an entirely new beast. There isn't much in terms of character development, but with a film like this that obviously puts its narrative and characters on the back burner in exchange for inducing an audiovisual orgasm, fuck a character development. A lot of Chinese genre films are analogous to many of our dreams. They're mostly visual, but sometimes we get a smattering of a convoluted narrative. Narrative is often secondary to a constant waterfall of audiovisual creativity. The last thing I want to gush about are the amazing practical special effects. Call them what you will, I think they are fantastic and totally inspired. The stop-motion creatures are some of the best that I've seen out of Asian cinema. The effects go completely off the rails in an especially zany scene in the sewers where Raga transmutes into a This creature is obviously inspired by the Thing with its fleshy remnants of human form, but it quickly becomes its own gloriously grotesque beast straight from anime hell. There are also little stop-motion creatures that emerge from a Big Mac container. Because why not? And you can't forget the acid-induced, Ghostbusters-inspired light shows that encourage you to wallow in the luminescent lunacy. The only real complaints that I have about the film aren't about the film itself, but about its availability. Aside from some questionable and confusing song choices, if ever you fall again, these films are very hard to find in North America, or anywhere from what I gather. This shoddy 1997 Chinese copy that I have on DVD has an early, lackluster transfer with washed out colors, and a translation that I'm pretty sure was handled by a drunk chimpanzee. I was constantly reorganizing what the inebriated translator was trying to communicate. This initially was a distraction, but the film is humorous and wacky by nature, so the poor translation ultimately added to it. Overall, this is a frenzy of a film. Pure absurdist entertainment from beginning to end, and a lightning bolt to the senses. I've held back a lot of my thoughts on the director Gnai Kai, but that's because I'm planning a bigger and more intensive look at the man and his work, because I feel like he deserves it. I'm sure many of you watching this have seen the macabre masterpiece that is Ricky-O, but that's honestly the tip of the iceberg of insanity. So dive headfirst into the shimmering lake of DMT and experience the madness that is the Peacock King. There's only one true way to end this video. Hey guys, I just want to thank you for checking out my review of the Peacock King. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I intend to bring you more forgotten genre gems in the future. If you did enjoy it, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this, as well as the little bell for notifications. Anyways guys, I will see you next time. Bored Cyborg out. Oh, smegma. Oh, smegma. If you don't know what it is, you better look it up, but don't search Google Images, yeah.